It's the third week of June in South Carolina, and it is hot. Shouldn't be going out today. It's just too hot. I think the weather calls for 92 or 93 is the high. Yeah, the humidity on top of that, it's just going to be brutal. The problem is that the hogs are out. And not only they're out, but they've been out at the feeder every night. I'll post some pictures here of them so you can see them, but they're showing up every night about the same time. They show up at about 6:30 or 6:45, and they've been doing this for about 10 days. Every single night, between 6 and 7 o'clock, they come out and they spend about 20 minutes milling around the feeder looking for corn. That pretty much is a guaranteed kill. So that's the goal tonight. I'm going to go over, it's about an hour drive out to the property. So I'm going to make the drive. I'm already dressed for it, but it is hot. The truck right now says it's 90 degrees outside at 4:15 in the afternoon. Hoping to be on the property by 5 o'clock, be in the stand by 5:30, so that I can be there about 30 to 45 minutes ahead of when the hogs show up. That's the goal, and I brought a couple of rifles with me today, and what I've got with me is my 22 Magnum, my Henry lever action 22 mag, and I brought the 300 Blackout. And I like that 300 Blackout. The 300 Blackout has the thermal on it, and it's also got a suppressor on it. So I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to shoot the Henry lever action 22 mag or whether I'm going to shoot the 300 Blackout with the suppressor and the thermal scope. If it gets dark, I'm going to need the thermal scope. But with the temperature outside, I'm a little worried that the thermal is not going to be able to pick up the animals walking through the trees and through the weeds the way that it does in the winter. Temperature outside, 92 degrees right now, the truck is showing. And at 92 degrees, what is the pig's body temperature? If it's about the same, I mean, human body temperature is 98.6. So if the pig body temperature is roughly the same as humans, we're only talking about a delta of about 6 degrees. Is that enough for the thermal scope to even pick that up? So I don't know. But on the other side, I don't have hearing protection for the 22 mag. And that's going to be really a loud shot because it's kind of a short barrel rifle and it's going to be loud. Whereas with the Blackout, at least I got the suppressor. So I'm thinking I'm going to go with the Blackout. It's a little heavier to carry. It's a little heavier to carry. It's a little tougher to manage in the stand, but it gives me a lot of advantages. So, all right, I'm going to do the Blackout. All right, we're going to be hunting the back section of the property. And there's about 500 acres. If you follow the channel, you'll have seen, you've heard me talk about this. We've got about 250 acres on each side of this road that we pulled in on. And so we're going to be hunting this half of the property today. And we're going to be hunting back here in the back section, way back in the corner where almost nobody goes, which explains why the pigs hang out there. They are really sensitive to human presence. And if there's people around, they're going to be far less likely to come into an area. This area also happens to have a couple of creeks that come together here. So there's a lot of water for the pigs that are going to live in this area. So we're going to go about halfway back in the truck. Normally I wouldn't drive back here. Certainly during deer season I won't drive back here. But in the off season, in the middle of June, when there's nobody out here doing anything other than work on the stands or on the food plots, it's okay to drive back. So we're going to drive back, but not all the way. I'm going to go about halfway. This will save me a little bit of a walk, especially if I take a pig. But it's, you know, like I mentioned already, it's really freaking hot. We did just have a cloud come over and dropped a very little bit of rain, but it dropped the temperature about 8 degrees or 10 degrees. So right now here at the property, in the trees, it's showing 84 instead of the 92 that we were at before. So we're going to come around, take this right fork, and I'm going to stop just in this next clearing, which is about halfway back. So there's going to be another probably half a mile that I'm going to walk after I stop the truck. So this should give us enough distance between where I park and where we're going to hunt that I won't have to worry about spooking the pigs, either with the sound of the truck or with the scent of the truck, both of which are incredibly important. The pigs have an incredibly keen sense of smell, far better than deer. If you've done any research on hogs, wild or otherwise, you'll be aware that pigs have a great sense of smell. So this is where we're going to park, and then from here we will, I'm going to walk in the rest of the way. So you may have noticed when I was getting out of the truck and unlocking the gate that I carry a pretty healthy sidearm when I'm here at the property. And the reason for that is because of what lives here. And the fact is that with as many pigs as we have here and some boar that are really large, I mean some probably, well for here they're really large, we're probably talking 300 pounds, 200 plus, several 200 plus pound boar on this property, and probably some that are at least 300 pounds. A couple of them we've seen over time on the cameras, very large. And because there's such large animals here, I don't generally like to come out here without something, you know, some kind of a sidearm for self-defense in case I can't get the rifle up quick enough. And so that's what I carry. So you'll notice I carry a Glock 20. This is going to be a 10 millimeter Glock semi-auto. I usually don't keep it locked and loaded unless I'm actually out here at the property. So I don't keep it locked and loaded in the truck. That is a very large bumblebee. And so anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. The reason I got this firearm, the reason I got this pistol is because of one particular instance. And I'll tell you about it while I'm getting ready here. I'll just kind of talk as I get ready. You guys can listen to the story. But I was out hunting one evening, and I was hunting early season by myself out here with a crossbow. And the crossbow was a good option for that year. I'm not very good with a regular bow, and I still wanted to hunt early season, and so I got the crossbow. And with the crossbow, came out, set up in the stand. A very nice buck walked out just at probably the last 10 minutes of shooting light. And after he walked out, I took the shot. It was a clean shot. I got him, nice hit, and I went to retrieve him. And I gave it about a half an hour after the shot, climbed down out of the stand, and I started following the blood trail. And one thing I wasn't expecting is the blood trail ran straight back into where the pigs bed. And so what I did was I followed him in, and I started to, and I couldn't take the crossbow with me because it was so dense. I mean, there was so much stuff that was in the area that it was so dense that I couldn't even take the crossbow with me into the areas that I was gonna look for the body of the deer or the buck. And so I ended up setting the crossbow down, and I got rather focused on finding the deer and didn't pay a whole lot of attention to where I was. And as I was going to chase the deer down, I found myself looking around, and there were some empty beds of the pigs that were right around me. And of course you can imagine some of these guys have tusks that are that big. And so that was a serious problem. And I realized I didn't have anything to defend myself. I had no way. If a boar felt cornered, or a sow had felt like maybe I had gotten into her, her territory, and that her piglets were at risk, it could have been a really bad situation for me. So that night I decided that I was going to go ahead and get something that was a little more appropriate to being out here with such large animals. And so I went ahead and got I got Glock 20, the 10 millimeter. And it's proven to be a good gun. I mean, I haven't had to shoot anything with it yet, but I like to shoot it. The recoil is fair. It's not bad, manageable. And the frame weight is good. And, it holds enough rounds. So yeah, it turns out that that's actually a pretty good sidearm. So that's what I carry now when I come out and I hunt, especially if I come out and hunt by myself, because, you never know. Out here on the property, not only do we have pigs, but we also have coyote, we have bobcat, and we have bears that will traverse through or travel through this property, either heading for the mountains or heading for the coast of South Carolina. That doesn't happen very often. I've never seen one, and I haven't seen one on camera, but they tell me that they come through here. So you never know. If you run into a black bear, you might need a little something to help you out, especially if you can't bring your rifle up in time, or it gets hung up on a sling or whatever. So I'm gonna go ahead and be quiet now. We're walking into pig territory, and I don't want to spook them. I've driven an hour to get out here, so let's see if we can take a pig home tonight. The feeder just went off. About scared me right out of the tree stand. But it looks like there's a lot of corn on the ground now. And the trail camera has been showing the pigs showing up before 9 o'clock. Most of them.
after right around 8, which means that gives it about 30 minutes for them to get comfortable with coming into the clearing. They've come in every night for the last 10 nights, just after the feeder goes off. Sometimes just before, but mostly just after. So by this point, they should be pretty comfortable coming in here. I shouldn't have to worry too much about them getting spooked, unless they smell me. Let's see what happens. Alright, they finally came out at 8:40, and I took a shot as a head-on shot at less than 40 yards through the thermal. Now this is the first shot I've taken on the thermal since I've zeroed it in. The pig that I shot was large. It was probably easily 200 pounds. And it took off hard left and went straight into the woods, and I heard it crashing around in the woods over there. Now, whether it's crashing around because it's dying or whether it's just blindly running through trees, I don't know. So now comes the part that I hate. Time to track. And it's about 20 minutes till dark. It's already dark in the trees. If you look over here, it's already dark up in the trees. And I don't have my hand thermal scope with me. It's in the truck. And I think I'd like to, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go look for blood first. And if I can find a blood trail, then I'll go get the truck and I'll bring it up here so it's closer. That'll give the pig a little while to die. And then I'll track it. And I've got my handheld thermal in the truck. And so I can use that. It'll be a lot easier. And I'll just carry my handgun for protection. But it was a large black pig, a good-looking pig. So I'm kind of excited to see. It was thrashing around, it sounded like, in the woods. So I'm hoping that meant that it was a fatal shot. We'll see. All right. Once again, doing one of my least favorite things. Tracking wild pigs, wild hogs, and big ones at that, by myself in the dark. This is not a fun experience for any of you who have not done it. So I'm out here right about where the pigs were, and to be honest with you, I'm not incredibly optimistic. I took a headshot on a pig, a straight-on headshot, 300 Blackout, but it's a subsonic round. So I'm a little bit worried that I might have bounced it off its head. I've not shot the subsonics before, not at a live target, and I haven't shot anything before with this 300 Blackout. So this is my first kill with a 300 Blackout. Well, I got a raccoon once, but that doesn't count. But this is my first kill with a 300 Blackout, and so let's just see how this worked out. I've got a tracking light here, and I don't know how this is going to work out. Also, I haven't used it yet to track anything. This is the Primos blood tracker tracking light, and it puts out a kind of a purplish beam. The purple beam does is it gets rid of all the other colors, so that red kind of pops out compared to everything else. And so what I'm looking for here is any, and I do mean any, sign of blood. I'm seeing coloration. I'm seeing lots of red, but I'm not seeing any red droplets so far. So the track begins. When I find something, or when I give up, I guess, I'll circle back and let you know what happened. The hunt is over. I'm back. Not success. You saw the shot, and I'm going to review the footage and see if anything implies that pig got hit. But from what I can tell, it was a miss. Now, I told you that this is the first hunt I've taken that rifle on, excluding a raccoon. It's certainly the first hunt that I've taken the thermal on. And while the suppressor did great, and the thermal certainly was able to pick out the pigs properly, I think I missed. I didn't see a single drop of blood anywhere, and I went back in the woods and searched. I pulled out the Primos blood tracker light and searched. I went back to where I believe the shot hit, or would have hit, or should have hit, and searched. Not a drop of blood. I headed off into the trees with the thermal scope and the thermal monocular, and I searched back in there for a while, and I didn't find anything. Nothing lit up on the scope. And there's no evidence that there's a pig out there at all. And that's incredibly aggravating. And I've been sitting here in a tree stand for 4.5 hours waiting for that shot. And the shot finally came, and the gun let me down, the scope, I guess, or maybe I let myself down. So anyway, yeah, that ends another hunt in failure. And that's what it's like, I guess. Maybe that's the point, right? And sometimes you end the hunt in failure. And that's what life is like, and that's what hunting is like. Maybe not for some of you. Maybe some of you are like, hey, yeah, I kill one every time I go. But I don't. I don't fish that way either. I'm kind of hit and miss on fishing. I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy being out here a lot. But I'm kind of hit and miss on hunting and fishing. Maybe I should take up a new hobby. I don't know. Something that I can't screw up on. But anyway, that's what I have for tonight. Oh, I didn't tell you. So the other thing that you probably want to know, and the reason that I called the search off a little early, was when I came back out of the trees the second time of going down in and looking for blood and looking with the thermal, I walked up back to the feeder for the third time to check and see if I could find anything at the feeder that would give me a direction, even hoof marks that might give me a direction and tell me which direction the pig ran. And as I was standing at the feeder, some distance into the trees, I'm going to say, 40, 50 yards into the trees, I heard a low grunt. Something just went back there. Basically, it probably was a boar, and he was grunting for territory. He may have heard the shot or heard the scatter, or I don't know what, but he came 20 minutes after the shot, 25 minutes after the shot, he was there. And I decided that as big as the sow was that I shot, that was probably 200 pounds, that boar was probably bigger than that. And I did not feel like searching around in the dark by myself with nothing but, a handgun with me, searching for a dead animal that probably didn't get hit in the first place. So anyway, that's where we wrap the hunt tonight. Another disappointment, I'm sorry. For those of you that sat and watched the video to this point, seems to be a trend with me this year, and pig hunting, I'm really struggling. But keep at it. We'll see you next time.